Hey guys, we are having some extreme technical difficulties. I'm going to try to tag everyone real quick on this. Add post, add to create. There we go. I think it's working now.
Okay, sorry about the delightful technical difficulties on my end.
I'm gonna go to that event post that I just made on the computer and tag everyone real quick.
I
I
love.
see that some people followed over Hey Serenity, Hey Trista. So sorry for that extreme technical difficulty.
I don't know what's going on, but my Facebook completely kicked me out there at one point too.
Oh my gosh. Everyone. My at everyone tag doesn't work, so I'm gonna make the post and then you comment at everyone.
Alright. Isn't
Oh,
it wonderful, Serenity?
there we go. Thank you, Serenity. My at
Thank
everyone
you.
tag never highlights, and it's so frustrating. I'm like, cool, I need to alert everyone, and I can't. I'm like, that's nice. But hi everyone to watching the replay. You didn't have to experience all those technical difficulties, but you can still comment throughout the live, and we will respond to all of them. And then for anyone who is currently here, thank you for following, especially Serenity and Trista. I see y'all already in here. That was a kerfuffle. All right.
All right. Since we had a little bit of technical difficulties, I do want to start diving in. So those who come in, welcome. I'm gonna begin. Welcome to our second part of the mini-series, including other divination with tarot. Today's live is about incorporating runes, candle divination, bones, and the Ouija board. Hello, Marcy. Oh, I gotta finish my letters. And with this live, I actually have a different deck that I'm going to show everybody because it actually incorporates the runes and tarot pretty beautifully. It does look a little rough though. I will admit that because it got rained on. It was part of our wedding decor. Welcome,
Yeah, I'm here.
Giselle. Hello,
I'm just pulling up the
Carol.
live on my computer so that way I can see the comments. My comments are just a little slow on my thing.
No, you're good. You're good.
Also, want to make sure that we don't have any more crazy technical errors halfway through.
I have a
think it was
tab.
really.
I have our notes up on one tab, and I have it up on Facebook up on the other tab to keep an eye on it.
So do I. I think it's so strange that we could still talk even though the entire thing was lagged.
Thank you, Carol.
Oh my gosh, why is my video so zoomed in? That's so strange. My phone is so far away from me. What? Is it because it's sideways? What is happening? No.
Now you're sideways.
That's so weird. I looked at my computer and I was like, wait, it's like double zoomed in. That's bizarre.
Thank you, Marcy.
Weird. Apparently, Facebook is just having some issues all around. Y'all get to be super close to my face. That's crazy.
All right. What's coming next? Sarah, do you want to take off
Oh
with
yeah.
that?
Let me go ahead and go over that last program. Sort of skip that part.
Yeah, we did.
Okay, so going over the last program, our feedback would be I appreciate everyone's communication, and people did a great job reaching out with any issues or technical difficulties that they were having. Make sure to please be utilizing the polls, though. That makes it so we don't have to just reach out to you consistently because we can keep up with it in the polls. And just make sure that you keep up with deadlines unless you reach out with one of us. But the main thing is when you are doing the Google form, please, please, please type in complete sentences. We are all adults and we have had to do some crazy deciphering to figure out what people are saying. And we can't give you we can't make good changes and give you like adequate responses on your feedback if we can't tell what you said because you typed it super strange. Like, I get if you can't spell something, I'm not the best at spelling, but full sentences are very important. Just do a little quick double read over it. Maybe read it out loud. Maybe you use talk to text and talk to text just did you dirty. I'm not sure, but we gotta double check some of some of that grammar. But besides that, everything else was really great. To touch on some of y'all's feedback, overall thoughts on the partnership was a lot of people saying that they really enjoyed it, that they love giving and receiving readings. Some people got some really good advice from their partners, and it helped some people out with confidence. Others said that they definitely enjoyed the challenge that we gave, but I will note that there was some people that noted that they didn't have a lot of connection with their partner, and some information seemed kind of forced or strange or strained. And to touch on this a little bit is you're not going to connect with every partner you have. I've given numerous of readings where I don't connect with the person at all. I'm not really connected very much. I just do the reading and then I just go on. And that's not as fun as when you're super connected, but it just is a part of doing divination. And so maybe you guys just don't connect super well. Maybe the person's just not at a good point in their life, you know what I mean? Maybe it does have nothing to do with you. But so sometimes it just kind of might feel like that. And I get that that might not be the best, but sometimes it just does happen. And then that's okay. You can just know maybe, hey, I don't want to be that person's partner in the future because we don't jive super well together. And that's all right. Um, some of the struggles people said that they had was like, again, feeling that connection with partner, but also response time and length. So I'm going to touch on that. I would say before you get upset to give someone like 48 hours to respond to your message. I don't say 24 because you don't know what they work like. You could be at opposite times. They could be working for a long time and then they're not going to respond to you instantly. But I'd say 48 hours and they could maybe even just reach out and say, "Hey, I'm really busy right now, but I have not forgotten about you." You know what I mean? But you got to be a little lenient with people. On the same note, be mindful of your response length. Don't just send someone a thumbs up emoji. That's a little rude. Just type a little something. You don't have to write them a novel. That's okay. But don't just do like 2-word responses all of the time because then there's not really a whole lot to work with. As for communication, a lot of people said that they matched really well and they had great communication, but there was 1 or 2 people that did struggle with not getting that communication. And if you just know that you're not going to be at the ability to communicate and talk, then just don't sign up for this partnership. You can always sign up for the next one. And hey, Brittany, and hey, Jamie, I saw y'all pop in. Lastly, we asked about program improvements and future ideas. We had a lot of people request videos on spreads. So we will be doing a future live in December on spreads and all about spreads because we hear you and we know that you want that. Also, having help with having partner connections. And so what I'll say for that is if you are struggling or you feel like you're not connecting well with your partner, reach out early to one of us two in the partnership and let us know how things are going. If you're not comfortable with doing the reading at all, then we will accommodate for that. But if it's just simply that you're not having a strong connection, we'll ask that if you can complete the reading, because you don't always connect with who you read for. But do know if you're still unhappy or don't feel satisfied with your reading, Shyanne or myself will provide you a reading. But please stay in constant communication with one of us too if you're having any issues, because then we can keep up with that. And then we just won't partner you with that person in the future. And then the last thing was, a lot of people said that they preferred having a set question or spread rather than picking a random genre. And I do get that it is easier to have a question or to have the spread, but that was the point. We wanted to challenge you. We wanted to do something a little harder to where you didn't just have it like handed with what question you were going to do and you had to really do. And so no, we're not going to do that all the time, but occasionally we might toss in something that's a little bit more difficult. And the last thing I want to say is, a lot of people really had struggles with what the spiritual life path reading was. And I'll give a quick touch on it here, but then I will know that we'll go deeper into those types of things in the future, just so we can add more clarification. But a spiritual life path reading would just be where you're walking on that path in your life and spiritually. It's that tie-in. It's where you're going, what that road you're going on. And it's not a set road. Roads have turns and bends and forks and they twist around. It's just where you're headed. And so it's not like a super concrete thing. You know what I mean? If Shyanne would like to add some onto that. Hey to a couple other ladies that popped in.
Welcome, ladies. I didn't get to participate in this delightful partnership this time around, but some of you girls had messaged me and reached out to let me know when you completed your reads, which was cool. Thank you guys. I'm sorry if I did not respond. We had a full rule on our honeymoon that there was no phones allowed because we spend too much time on them. So hearing how you guys were having better connections this time around made me feel happy. That's what we're trying to get you guys to feel, is connections, getting you guys to understand how to read your cards and really let your intuition bloom. So the challenging part of this was there for a reason. It was to really make you think. And that spiritual life path reading, yeah, it's your path spiritually walking. Where are you going? What's coming up? What can happen? Is there any surprises coming your way? That's pretty much what you're looking at for that. You're just really trying to see what direction you're heading. We are definitely going to work on our spreads. Me and Sarah were talking about that, and you can still do them in a non-traditional fashion too. So I do want to touch base on that when we come up with our next live. Now we are going to go back into what we are doing tonight. We are going to talk about our next set of other divinations, including into tarot. Part 2 of 3. We are going to talk about incorporating runes, candle divination, bones, and the Ouija board. I have some things that I can show everybody. Not a lot.
What's coming after this? Next month in November, we have our final part of including other divinations, where we'll be going over things to include with tarot, such as pendulum, dowsing rods, dice, tea leaf readings, and so forth. And then we did want to ask anyone in the replay or anyone here, do you have any other live recommendations or suggestions besides including other divinations or spreads, since we already said that we were going to cover that? And I do have some things that I'll show off in this live as well. Shyanne, you're gonna have to help me make sure it's in frame, since apparently my camera is being super weird and I'm on like
You
3 zoomed in.
you're like boxed.
I know, I pulled it up on my computer and I'm like, it's just my face. It's like a profile shot, even though I backed up super far and on my phone, like you can see like so much behind me. It's kind of frustrating, but nothing I can do about that.
All right. Why would you want to include these other divinations, runes, candle divination, bones, Ouija boards into your readings? Well, including these types of divinations can help expand your intuitive nature. Um, they are more intuitive based divination styles where you do really need to hone in on your connections and trusting yourself. So I feel like this is where we're really going to start pushing you to really believe in yourself and stop doubting in the back of your mind, because they are very intuitive styled types of things that we are going to be incorporating.
And how this live be helpful even without the partnership or anything included. This live is going to be helpful to show you how to include these specific divinations using with tarot. And just a way to, if you want to start utilizing them, but you're not really sure how to start, this is a really nice starting place. Because then you can try out those couple things and then go off on your own and see how all you like to include it.
Welcome, Mom. All right, I'm gonna dive into runes. I'm not going to talk too much about them by themselves so much. I will say that I'm only gonna talk about the Nordic runes, your Norse runes. Um, the Old Norse runes are a set of 24. They are an ancient alphabet that was used before the Latin alphabet was even adopted. Each rune has a name and a meaning, and I promise you this, I will probably screw up on their names as I go into how you can use them with tarot. Still working on practicing that. Before I go any further, I wanted to show you guys, this is one of my newest decks. Like I said, it's a little rough because it got wet at the wedding, but you can see on here how they actually incorporated the runes, the runic system, with the cards themselves.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, they're pretty. They're very pretty. I like how they incorporated them because you can really see and get an idea behind them. Um, runes and tarot go hand in hand with each other if you actually do a little bit more digging and reading into it. There, like I said before, there's 24 different runes. I will show you what I have. These are my runes that I used at my wedding.
Very nice.
They are made from the lapis lazuli stone.
Oh yeah, that's beautiful.
They are beautiful. We had to incorporate Odin somehow or another. So each stone, each rune that represents, like I said, a specific name. The first one that I'm going to go over is the Fehu. Again, I'm going to screw up these names. I promise.
It is spelled Fehu.
Yes. Um, that one is associated more with the Ace of Pentacles and the King of Pentacles. It's the rune of wealth and abundance. Fehu means cattle, as in owning livestock, which once signified prosperity. It not only pertains to obtaining and creating wealth and luck, but also new beginnings, such as the Ace of Pentacles, but holding on to it and investing wisely, similar to energy of the King of Pentacles. So you can see how that one kind of goes hand in hand with that. The next one I want to go over would be, ooh, let me try to pronounce this. Is it Urus or Urus? It might be Urus. That represents a power that cannot be contained. It's pure, untamed, and potential. It deals with facing challenges head on, just like the Knight of Swords. And just like the Eight of Wands, it also signals the fast moving and that success is on its way. The next one I want to go over is Thur- Thur- Thurizaz, which is associated with the Five of Wands and in the major arcana Strength. Thurizaz translates to thorn or giant, both which signify challenges. Also, they also do this despite the adversity and the interpersonal conflict, such as the Five of Wands, to protect yourself. Strength in the tarot isn't so much about force, but finding gentleness against the negativity. And that's where this rune comes into play and how it kind of incorporates with both of those cards. The next one is Ansu's, which is associated with the High Priestess and the Emperor. Ansu's translated as the mouth or divine breath, which is the breath of all life and creation. Typically represents Odin, the All-Father in Norse mythology. The element of this rune brings out the Emperor as it deals with the divine and the sacred realm of the High Priestess. That's how you can really connect with those two. Hi, Michelle. Sorry, I didn't grab a drink for this, so I gotta short breath in between.
Yeah.
I don't even know how to
I'm
pronounce
putting
this
it all
one.
in chat as you talk, so there is that.
Okay. The next one that was dropped in chat, because I really don't want to butcher that too bad,
Starts with an R. I just dropped it into chat.
is associated with the Chariot and the Knight of Wands. It translates to wheel, but it honestly, you can see it associates more with the Chariot rather than the Wheel of Fortune, as it's focusing your energy on obtaining goals and traveling through the journey of life and bringing everything into fruition. It also shows the swift movement forward and traveling and the magical quests that are on your route throughout your journey. It doesn't really fit in with the Wheel of Fortune, but at least you know what it translates to, because I am going over each translation. Kenez is associated with the Hierophant and the Hermit. It signifies the torch. It's the rune of knowledge, learning, and teaching, and it points to lessons learned. Just like the Hierophant asks you to learn and bring that knowledge that you are willing to share to others and be the light in somebody else's life. That new light is there burning, and it brings clarity and visions inward, which is what the Hermit suggests to you as well. And that's how you can see how it plays both ends. I really needed to drink. I apologize. Gebo, Gabo. I'm gonna go with that. Is associated with the Six of Pentacles and the Two of Cups. It pertains to the exchange of gifts, deals with giving freely without expecting anything in return. It also goes along hand in hand with the generosity from the Six of Pentacles, and partnerships and contracts and connections between people that they give, as well as the kind love and connection from the Two of Cups. Woon ho. I'm stumbling. That one that was dropped in chat
I'm not sure, but I dropped it into chat.
is associated with Three of Cups and Nine of Cups. It signifies joy, pleasure, and celebration with others. That's the Three of Cups vibe, celebrating with those closest to you. It's also considered the wishing rune for manifestation, which is similar to the Nine of Cups, telling you to make a wish and it shall be granted.
Sorry, I keep getting distracted because that thing just randomly keeps moving, even though there's no draft in my room, and I keep looking backwards because it's just moving, and it's so
No,
that's
you're
why I
good.
keep looking backwards.
The next one in line is starts with an H, Hagales, which is associated with the Tower and the Six of Swords. It's translated to hailstone, indicating uncontrolled forces. These are where they're probably talking more on the difficult situations, destruction, warning, just like the Tower shows. But also the turning of the water, the removing of the obstacles, and flowing smoothly. It shows the eventual move to better circumstances, just like the Six of Swords. It plays off of both the more terrifying terms, but also it shows you the light in the end. The next one in line is, I'm not trying to pronounce, but it starts with an N and she'll drop it in the chat. It's
Yep.
associated with the devil and the Eight of Swords. This is the rune for need. It's born more from a negative place, but it signals the power you have to break free from anything that holds you back. The devil card shows you the ability to slip from your chains. And just like that, that's how it connects with this rune. Um, Same goes with your Eight of Swords, where you can limit those beliefs and keep you from being stuck and tied down. That's where this rune also plays a good impact in when you're reading. So if you're uh, before I go into each the rest of the runes, because there's not too many more, I do know that. Um, if you notice, each of the Norse runes had already had a connection with tarot. So when you're incorporating runes, you're able to really pull that connection and then really start honing in on your intuition of how that made you feel when you pulled that rune with those cards, or those couple runes with those cards. You can really see the connection between the two and how they've incorporated with each other for many years. The next one in line is Isa, which is associated with Two of Swords and Five of Pentacles. Isa has a similar meaning to the one right before this one, by feeling stuck or unable to escape the unpleasant circumstances. This is more of a caution and wait kind of rune. Eventually, things will move to a better situation, and you need to improve your outlook on life and what's in front of you, which is where Two of Swords and the Five of Pentacles come in play. The next one in line is Jera, which is where the Wheel of Fortune and Nine of Wands is associated. This is representing the year of or a season. It usually is named for the bountiful harvest, which is the culmination of your hard work and the celebration of your abundance, and how the cycle of life will keep coming and good fortune and prosperity is on its way. That's how you can see how it ties in with the Nine of Swords and the Wheel of Fortune. I apologize. It's a lot, guys. I'm trying to get through it as quickly as I can. Evil Glass is associated with death and judgment. This is the rune of the yew tree, also known as the world tree counterpart. It not the world tree itself, but the counterpart of the world tree, the one that's upside down versus the one that's right side up. It's this symbolizes the cycles of renewal and change throughout our lives, just like the death card. It's not something that we should be fearing, as every cycle comes to an end at some point, and we need to learn to absorb those lessons. And that's how you can see it associates with judgment as well. The next one is something I'm not trying to pronounce as either, but it starts with a P and it will be dropped in chat. It's associated with the Fool and the Six of Cups. This is the mysterious rune associated with the occult and embracing the unknown. Just like the Fool celebrating its uncertainties of life, it also plays into the playfulness in your childlike innocence and how you just need to let yourself loose and let yourself be free to continue down your path and hitting all of these different curves along the way. You can see where that incorporates with one another.
Hey, Haley.
Hello, Haley. The next one up is algas. I probably pronounced that wrong. It's associated with the Seven of Wands and Seven of Swords. Symbolizes the elegant axe as a protective rune. It protects from the words and actions of others. Just like the Seven of Wands is a defensive card, and the watchfulness of that card plays into how this really not Seven of Wands. It was Seven of Wands, not and Seven of Swords is where you can see the watchfulness. Sorry, I'm stumbling. I apologize. You can see where those two tie in together. Yeah, that's why I really liked when I got my deck, and it showed the ties, how really it does tie in together really well. And runes, I thought, were a little intimidating at first, but with how easy I read tarot and how easy I can incorporate it with my tarot is crazy. The next one is Sawulu, which is associated with the sun and the hanged man. It's more of seeing your goals and realizing and recognizing your success, and the light around you. It also represents the inner enlightenment, inner light, and one's higher self. And you can see how that really kind of ties in with both. Like the sun, yes, we've talked about how the sun doesn't always mean happy-go-lucky, happiness and all that other stuff, but if you are incorporating with the traditional sense, you can see how that rune plays in with the sun.
Hey, Patricia.
Um, Next one in line is Tiwas. It's associated with justice and the Queen of Swords, relating to the legal matters. It's a symbol of justice, honor, and success in one's actions. It asks you to face obstacles with strength and courage, and that's where you can see the authority and strength from the Queen of Swords playing into this card, and just like the justice, creating you'll get what you deserve or get what you give kind of message. You can see how that plays in with this rune as well. Moving on to Berkana. This one is associated with the Ace of Wands and the Empress. It translates to the birch tree or birch twig, which implies symbolizing of growth and new beginnings and springing forth from the seed that was planted. The connection to fertility and the Mother of Earth, where you can see the Empress and this tie in together. Then when you move into the Ace of Wands, how the runes itself, not new beginnings, but the aspect of the cards together bring in the new beginnings, and you can see how they relate. Ewas is associated with the Eight of Pentacles and the Three of Pentacles. It takes you have to look at what it takes to be successful in achieving your goals. Signifying teamwork might play a role, just like in Three of Pentacles. In the Eight of Pentacles, it speaks to the slow and steady progress. The next one up we have is Manez. The Magician and the Lovers is where this one comes into play. Manez translates to man as in human rather than gender. The message here is the power to achieve your fullest potential, especially in your creative side. It's similar to the wisdom of the magician, and it also refers to the shared experiences and consciousness among us all and the deep connections of the Lover's card. Oh, I'm almost at the end. Okay, we got 4 more, ladies.
I figured after you go through the 4 more, then you would answer your mom's question, because that's a good question.
Yes. Lagaz is associated with the star and the moon. The rune of water, Lagaz tells us to go with the flow and maintain the sense of hope, just like the star possesses. Your dreams, your fantasies, intuition, and your psyche play a big role into this rune. The darker aspects of yourself, just like that of the moon. Water is another symbol within this one as well, representing your subconscious and your intuition. And if it comes up, it means to pause and get in touch with your hidden depths. Next one up is Ingwas, which is associated with the Two of Wands and the Three of Wands. Just like Berkana, Ingwas, it deals with the male fertility or fertility. The message is to build up your power over time and release it at once. There's a bit of power that you've been holding on to that you have not shared with others, just like that's how you can see how it relates with the 2 and 3 of Wands. And to look out onto the horizon and look for what's coming next. The next one in line we have is Dagas, which is associated with the world and temperance. Dagas, meaning day, symbolizes the awakening or new beginning, a new day, and therefore a new opportunity. That something's coming to an end signifies that there will be a new beginning. Just like the world is ending, it can draw on to something that we are to learn something new. Additionally, it balances out light and dark, and similar to the balance of temperance. Without dark, there can be no light. Without, uh, just like there can be no enlightenment without encountering challenges first. And the last rune we have for you is Othala, which is associated with 4 of Wands and 10 of Cups. It's defined as home or sacred ancestral land. Othala is wealth and cannot be sold. Wealth that can take form of family, friendships, culture, heritage, and the land of one's birth. It's a happy rune and symbolizes contentment, just like as in the 10 of Wands, and the sense of home, belonging, and celebration that 4 of Wands represents. Whew. It's a mouthful. Do you use runes in place of tarot cards or with? You can use runes alone, but this is more so on how to incorporate them with tarot and how they closely relate to the different tarot cards and their meanings, if that makes sense.
So every single different divination that we're going through, tarot in the past, oracle, runes, all of these different things are different divination methods. Divination is communicating to spirits, to your higher self, to your shadow side, to ancestors, any of these things. It is a divination tool. And so divination tools can be used by themselves, one tool at a time, or they can be used in combination. Some types of divinations will blend easier with each other, and some don't really vibe as well together. And some practitioners will find that they mesh well with certain divinations, or certain divinations together work well for them while they don't for others. And so knowing what divination to use or whether to use multiple ones, there's no right or wrong answer for that. It's what you yourself decides would be for you to use. So runes and all of the other ones, you can use 100% on their own. Instead of tarot cards, maybe you don't relate to tarot cards very much. But in this live, we're going to be super focused on combining them with tarot. Whether that being doing one divination and adding tarot afterwards, or doing tarot and then adding a little bit afterwards, or then doing them together, if that makes sense, to add on.
It makes
So,
sense to me.
awesome. So hopping into candle divination, I've broken it down. So for candle divination, you can do, let me read Serenity's comment real quick. He said, if you want to use runes on your own crystals, does it have to be in-depth videos on how to cast and read as well, if you're interested? Cheyenne, would you like to answer that? Or do you want
Sorry. Thank you for my drink.
You're good.
If you want to use runes on your own crystal, does have an in-depth live and on how to cast and read them as well.
Oh, I read that weird. Now that you read that again, I was like, that makes sense. I was super confused. Yes, Crystal did a live. I think it was like a 2-part live.
And it was a really good live.
Yeah, it was super in depth. I know it was for sure at least 2 parts, but there might be more parts. And it's in a guide that also has in-depth videos on a bunch of other divinations. Like a bunch of admins did individual videos on divinations. I know Sarah Lee has done some scrying ones that are pretty good.
Yeah.
And then for later, Gina has an old video on Ouija boards and all about them. It's a pretty old live. You'll have to dig back there, but she has a pretty good one on it. And it's like she goes more into like all about them and like the history and stuff like that. She says, Serenity says, I love the idea of combining all these different divinations. It's so fascinating. I love combining divinations or using them, like using different divinations together for different specific things. And candle divination is one that I really like. So let's hop into that. So candle divination, I broke it down because there's working with the flame by itself, there's working with the smoke by itself, and then there's working with the wax by itself. So flame reading, flame scrying, they all have their own specific names. Wax reading is also known as chiromancy. They all have their own specific names, but I'm gonna not complicate it for the sake of the video because they all sound very similar. And I'm just going to say flame, smoke, or wax because when you use the specific name, they sound really similar, so I don't want to confuse anybody. Serenity said, also, I had to reread my comment after I heard you read it out loud, LOL, but it's all good. My brain does that too sometimes. I'm just a really comma person, and so my brain, when it doesn't see a comma, it just like keeps going at full speed, and sometimes that gets me confused. Raymond says, I love runes, but I have not connected with them as naturally as I did with tarot. I like the idea of combining them. Combining a divination that you don't connect with as well to one that you really connect with is a way to sort of like introduce your energy to it and get acclimated to it. It's like dipping your toes in.
Yeah.
So for candle divination, I will show you some examples of my favorite kinds. So if I was to be doing just a flame reading, you can use any kind of candle you want. You can use something like this if you're just doing a flame reading because you just need to see the flame. And yes, I might have just wanted an excuse to show this off because I love it. But if you're just doing, thank you. If you're just doing a flame or a wax reading, you could use something like this. Or you could use something like this because you're just reading the flame or the wax. And then here's the last one because it's October. You could use something like this, a little hocus pocus, but don't let a virgin light it, the candle. Don't do that. That is a hocus pocus reference if you don't know that. I didn't sound weird. But so anyways, and this candle smells literally delectable. I could eat it up. I haven't lit them because they're beautiful. But yeah, so flame reading or smoke reading, you could use any kind of candle that you want. But if you're doing wax reading, however beautiful these candles are, you're not going to want to use them because that's not going to be helpful. So if you're doing wax reading, you could use a birthday candle for seeing like how it melts, but you're not going to be able to see a whole lot because there's not a lot of wax there, and you're not going to have like that pile of wax. The birthday candle is just going to zoom, burn down. Some of these pillar candles or spell candles, these little ones, some of them leave a lot of wax, and I found some brands don't. Shyanne or anyone else that works with candles probably knows what I'm talking about. Sometimes these will burn. There's like a nice pile of wax,
Yep.
and sometimes actually it's just gone. And you could read that as, well, the spell manifested well because there's no more wax. But if you're trying to look for an image of the wax, that's not helpful. Some other ones, you know, you have these regular old big ones. You could get a little fancier, get a little decorative big one, or you could get like these little shaped ones. But I will note, okay, I don't have a candle that's like a completely different shape, but if I did, I would show you. Like, you know, a heart candle. If you're burning one of these that are shaped weird, your pile of wax is going to look different than if you burn this. Like if you burn a heart candle, you might see these two big piles, and that is something you're going to need to note when you're reading the wax, because hey, your candle looked different than just if this was just burned down. Just a little PSA I wanted to toss in. But not to get too much into just reading candles. So going into looking at the flame, flame divination, flame scrying, stuff like that, is seeing signals and signs from the flame. And this could be done in multiple ways. Just two easy ways. It can be done by watching the flame closely and looking for signs. Or another method could be by zoning into the flame, like really zoning in and scrying and putting all of your focus into it and looking for messages or images within the flame directly. So to read with the flame with tarot, so if I was to have this candle, for example, and I wanted to read the flame, which you could use one of these big ones at the end, up here. Sorry, I had a Facebook group chat and it kept like popping up. I was getting really distracted. But you could use one of these big ones too with flame, and these ones are actually the ones I prefer to use with flame because they're so big and they can just sit there. I don't have to worry about anything touching them. I don't have to worry about them moving. And I can make it to where there's no draft in my room. So if the flame does anything, then it's a lot easier for me to tell. And I'll usually light them all because I like it if I can see multiple flames doing the same thing rather than just one, if that makes sense. Or if I see one over here doing one thing and then one over here doing something completely different, I'm like, okay, that's bizarre because that shouldn't be like happening. So I like doing that. But so if you're reading it with tarot, you can watch for signs in the flame while you're completing the reading or afterwards, like and continuing. So let's say I'm in the middle of doing my tarot reading. I could have the flame lit, and if I'm doing the reading to maybe I'm trying to do this reading to see if a goal that I'm trying for is going to manifest. I can look for signs of how strong this manifestation is in the flame. Or if I'm using the cards, let's say I'm trying to reach out to an ancestor and I'm trying to connect them, get a message for them, I can try to see how strong this message I'm getting from them is with the flame, if that makes sense. Another one is you can gaze into the flame before or after the reading. So I could do some flame scrying into the candle and really focus in and see if I get any messages, and then go into my tarot reading to follow off of what I've been getting. Maybe ask any questions about something that I saw, or use the cards to see if what I saw, if I was on the right path. Or reverse, you know what I mean? Do your tarot reading and then light the candle to see if it agrees with, or if there's anything you can add on to with your reading. Hopefully that'll make sense. Moving into smoke, which is smoke scrying, which is where you are paying attention to the smoke that's coming off the candle. And some candles let off more smoke than others. You can also do smoke scrying with incense, or even with sage bundles, or bundles of really whatever, bundles of anything. Whatever is producing smoke for you to therefore scry off of. So that is important though to note that what makes a lot of smoke and what doesn't. Because if you're working with something that barely lets off any smoke, it could be really hard to try to see something, any messages in it. But so again, smoke divination, smoke scrying is seeing messages within the smoke or signals or signs from the smoke. Ways that you can do this is watching the smoke while a candle or an incense is burning and looking for messages or signs, or gazing and honing into the smoke looking for any images or when I do this, like for instance, one of the I like is when I see like a woman dancing inside of the smoke. Like it's like you can like see like a movie almost playing in like the background of your mind while you're looking into the smoke, if that does make sense. But ways to include this with tarot is watching the smoke during or after your tarot reading and seeing again, just like with the flame, if things are resonating, any furthering of messages. And then you can also do it during your reading as well. So moving into wax reading, which is looking for messages within the wax. And there are a lot of ways to do this. I'm just going to go over a couple. You can do this as the candle is burning. You can do this after the candle has burned, the pile of wax that remains. You can do this during and after the candle is burned. I know some people that when they're reading the wax, they don't want to watch the candle burn. They just want to look at the wax when it's done. Some people don't care about the wax when it's done and they only want to see while it's burning. And then some would like to do both. And then you can also do this by lighting your candle, flipping it upside down, not letting your candle burn, and just dripping the candle wax into a bowl of cool water and seeing how the wax resonates in the water and they read the wax in the water. This is done in like a bowl or a cup. And so how do you read wax with tarot? You can watch to see how the wax burns to see any messages and how strong the reading is. So you can light the candle and do your reading and watch how the wax is burning as you do your reading. And then look at the wax afterwards as you finish up your tarot reading and read these messages alongside each other. And it's not using the wax as one reading and using the tarot as another. It's the same question and using them both together to formulate a stronger answer. It's not do one reading with the tarot, then do one reading with the candle. Another way that this can be done is during the tarot reading, lighting the candle and doing the dropping into the water while you're doing your reading and seeing messages that appear. But it's all about doing it during your tarot reading or right before or right after. And that's all I got for that one.
All right. Moving right along, we are gonna move into the next one in line, which is bones, or other known as osteomancy, the art of throwing bones. I have a starter kit that I have right here. I will show you guys before I go in any further. So here's my starter kit. They're little coyote bones. And you can see I have a clear crystal as well.
Very nice.
Maybe? No, I double clicked it. Just a little background on osteomancy or bone throwing. When building your bone throwing bag, it usually consists of 5 bones and other objects. These other objects can be crystals, stones, feathers, keys, a rune.
Oh, there's a tiny key you could throw in your bag.
Even most of my stuff's downstairs, and I decided to be upstairs for this.
Little charm you could throw into your bag.
Yep, you can throw it. Household items, outdoor items, vacation items, anything
Here's a
that.
baby acorn that you could throw into your bag, or a baby feather.
Yep, acorns. Anything that you feel kind of represents you. That is the most adorable little freaking thing I've ever
I
seen.
have a baby pine cone, a baby acorn, and a baby feather. I try to connect the baby element representation, but I keep. Oh, you could also put little snail shells in there. You can do
Yes.
that.
You don't have to have the just these types of bones in here either. Like you can add teeth, you can add porcupine quills, you can add seashells, you can add snail shells, you can add regular stones, you can add the skeletal the actual skeleton of the whole entire small animal. You can add a skull, you can add just the jaw. You can add all sorts of different things. It doesn't have to just be like this. Um each object in your bag usually stands for something. So when you get your bag and you are building your bag, the 5 main bones of your bag will represent something within yourself, whether it's family, career, uh, inner self, outer self, so on and so forth. Each thing has its own meaning, and then each of your little object has its own meaning, and it's all personal to you. How you can incorporate this with tarot is by a lot of it, yes and no questions, because using it in yes and no questions is a wonderful thing because it's giving you an intuitive based answer incorporated in your yes or no question that you asked your tarot. It also helps provide different perspectives, including helping you build a more intuitive insight to your question. So when you're throwing out cards, I don't even know all of my cards, but like say I don't, yeah, these ones don't have their things on. I'm still learning them. But, like, say I threw those 3 cards out and I threw my bones while I was at it, and 2 of them crossed. Like, there is different terms of when they cross as well. I have that information. I'll go over that in a minute. Um, that you have to intuitively think about, okay, well, this represented this part of my life, so this is my question with my tarot read was, where am I, is this part of my career going in the right way that I wanted to go? Say that was your question, and your stuff crossed together on your career path. Well, now you're like, oh, well, what does this mean that it crossed? I can see this is really going along with my tarot. Let's get a little bit more intuitively based, if that made any sense. There is certain patterns that go along with reading bones that I think is kind of important that I do want to mention. Um, T-shape, blockage or blocking of the lower abdomen areas and stuff like that. You got parallel lines meaning balance, X shape meaning strong wish, horizontal lines is your feminine, receptive, or no. Vertical lines are your masculine, dynamic, and yes. Your diagonal lines is separation. Look to both sides to see what's separated. Horseshoe upright is good luck. RX is bad luck. Upright triangle is growth and manifesting. The RX triangle is something is shrinking away. And an H meaning storms, chaos, calamity, and growth. An item landing on top of another item can indicate obstacles. Just wanted to make sure that was definitely noted in there. Because in knowing your general basics will also help you tie that into tarot. So, like, those different things, now you're going to look at those patterns as well when you threw your bones and incorporate the message overall between all of them. So your cards are saying this, and this is adding to what your cards are telling you, if that makes more sense.
It doesn't make sense.
And that's what I got for osteomancy without going into osteomancy itself. Which
So before we hop
if I'm
into,
correct, I think Gina did do a video on
yeah, I
that.
think it was Gina who did the video. I could be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure it was her. But there is a video on it. I do know for a fact there's a video on it. Before I hop into Ouija board, I will say that while yes, we are going over how to include divination with other divination with tarot, there is so much thing as adding too many things, too many aspects, and that could really complicate things or muddle down the message because it's not always the more the merrier. Sometimes the more you have, the more confusing and muddled and stuff things get. But it could also be a very helpful tool. So there it's just making sure that you're reading while you're gathering in as much as you can to still try to keep it concise and not add too many aspects, if that makes sense. Or knowing when is the time to add more and when is it, because it's not the time every single time. So moving into Ouija board, I'll start by showing mine that I have. Long awaited. So my Ouija board came all the way from Russia. Fun fact. Also, fun fact, there was no metal in the box when I got it, and it set off alarms trying to come off into the country, and it got sent back, and then it had to get searched, and then they were like, oh, it's fine. And then I had to like sign for it, and it was like a whole shebang just trying to get it through the mail. It's made out of a very nice wood. I highly doubt my camera will do it justice because my camera quality is poop. But it's made out of a nice wood. This is what
It's
it
so
looks
pretty.
like. Thank you. I'm waiting for it to pop up on my computer so I can see how much in screen it is. There we go. So this is what it looks like. We will go in a little closer. Hopefully it's my camera in its horrible angles is doing this justice. But there we go. Oh yeah, it is awesome. I finally got it popped up on my computer. But that is what it looks like. It's got the yes and the no. We have the sun and we have the moon. And then we've got the numbers and the goodbye and the alphabet. Standard information is yes and no, the letters, the numbers, and the goodbye, and the decorations. They're nice. And then here we go, planchette. Once again, not having my camera being a pain is being very annoying because I can't tell exactly what you can see. Mine does not have a glass piece. It's a little cutout. Still works just as good. You don't need to necessarily have the glass piece, but the hole is important so that way, you can look through it, see any ghosty boys up in the room. But yeah. Oh, awesome. Okay, it popped up on my camera. Yep, this is what the piece looks like. Yes, it does look like a heart. Most of them do. I thought it was fun when I finally realized that when I was learning, like before I ever even got one a long time ago, I was like researching them and I was like, wait a minute. I was like, I see something here. It was pretty great. But so they're also called spirit boards, talking boards, witches boards. And again, it's just a divination tool. Just like tarot, just like pendulums, just like runes, just a divination tool. It's used for communication with spirits, guides, your higher self, your shadow side, your subconscious, maybe your inner child. But I'm gonna go into. She said, "Ooh, girly pops, you lost me here. I've always been superstitious of them." Well, don't worry, I'll hop into that in just a second. But I'm gonna give some background. I'm gonna give some more background on Ouija board than maybe we did with some of the other divinations, just to provide some clarity and insight. But as we recommend with all divinations, to do your own research, and this is definitely not the end all be all. This is how to use with tarot, not how to use them by themselves. Before I dive too much into the Ouija board, I will say that it did originate with the automatic writing, which was just with the planchette, and it was designed to hold pencils and you could close your eyes, put the pencil into the automatic writing, and then you go with it and it will actually write. And it evolved into the board over time for a clearer message, and it began its popularity because of one of the world wars, and we all wanted to communicate to all the people that had passed because so many people had passed away. So that's why they actually gained their original boost in popularity. Automatic writing does not have to be done with the planchette and the pencil. You can do automatic writing by closing your eyes, holding a pencil, and writing. And a way to hone in when you're doing that is maybe to play white noise or to remove some sensory information. You could even cover your eyes, play white noise, and you yourself can do the writing. You don't need a tool. And that can also be used alongside tarot, the automatic writing. Just wanted to put that in there. But I will say with the Ouija board, there is no reason to be scared of the Ouija board, but I will acknowledge all of the fear and superstition that is around it. I would like to say, though, that the fear mongering and the stuff of that started from Hollywood movies. And yes, I will accredit that these movies did originate from true stories, but we all know Hollywood. And while, yes, movies like The Exorcist or The Conjuring and stuff like that were based loosely on real events that happened, I guarantee you they did not happen exactly like they happened in the movie, because we had to make it for movie production. Would you just write what words pop in your head first? So I will talk about that for a second. So automatic writing, yes, you can write the words that pop into your head. You just let your hand move, because you might draw an image, you know what I mean? You could just be moving your hand and think you're doing nothing, but you can draw an image. And any words that you think of, you would just write them down. You just don't question yourself. Some people will draw a circle just to keep their hand moving, and then they'll go off and do other things, while some people just keep their hand still. And you can write down whatever you think of, and you just move your hand in whatever ways feel natural to you. And that would be how you do that, if you don't have the automatic writing plan check. Well, where was I at? Okay, so while you can say that all of the fear did originate from Hollywood, when there is so much negativity and so much fear and just crazy energy around something, it could develop into an egregore, which is spelled Egregore. And that is when something is believed to be so negative by so many that the energy is pushed onto it. And Shyanne and I did some brainstorming to try to think of the most popular egregore that we could come up with. And the best one that we could think of is Slenderman, or any creepypasta in general, because I'm pretty sure we can all agree Slenderman is not real. Let's just put that out there. I'm very sorry if I bursted someone's bubble right there, but I can safely assume I don't think any of us think that that's real. But the amount of negativity and belief and just crazy shit, if you've kept up with the news, by the way, with some of the stuff with that, is crazy, okay? But
There was some interesting things that popped up from that.
But not to get into true crime, because that's not where we're at. Anyways, Slenderman went crazy. And so with all of that negative energy and stuff like that, you could say it has become an egregore, where it is that negative energy, that negative entity that's never existed. But you could argue that it is that because of all that negativity that's been put in there. Another way you could look at it is like the Conjuring house, for example. While yes, that place could have originally been haunted, if there's thousands and thousands of people flocking to an area being like, this is possessed by the devil himself, it is the evilest place on the planet, and everyone's putting that in, it's really gonna make it worse. Damn, I feel old hearing creepy pasta. Oh, well, if I'm not talking to someone close in age, people don't know what I'm talking about. Yes.
Yes, I feel that.
But I felt like everyone here would know at least Slenderman, and then if they were cool, they would probably know creepypasta. So, but
My childhood.
yes. So that's sort of how I feel with the Ouija board. I feel like it has been fear-mongered so bad from Hollywood, and then it did not help the amount of people like oh my God, it's losing my brain. Who are the Fox sisters that faked a bunch of stuff with the Ouija board and made it seem like shit was going crazy? The amount of hoaxes and stuff like that that have made it so much worse than it is. The Ouija board is just another divination tool. And originally it was used to people trying to talk to their dead relatives. But it went crazy. But I will say, if you're fearful of the board, then maybe don't use it. If you're scared of it and it doesn't matter what anybody says and you're like, nope, that shit's gonna get me, I would just say don't use it. Because then the spirits could play off of your fear, like the Eager board. You could project your own fear and your own negativity on it before you even use it and result in a very negative experience. Because if you're like, this is horrible, this is going to frick me up, this is going to destroy my life, I'm going to lose my job, my house is going to fall apart, and everything's going to just implode on itself if I use this board, and then you use the board with all of that negativity, well, guess what you're manifesting right now? A bunch of shit. So if you're fearful of the board, just don't use it. Simple as that. Don't use it. It'll be all right. I love that you're cracking up laughing over there. Yep, I'm that girl that thinks it's always going to get me, LMAO. Then, yep, don't use it, Serenity. Don't use it. Maybe try automatic writing. That's a little
Yeah,
more passive.
automatic writing sounds better for you.
Yeah, put on some white noise, cover your little eyes, do some writing. Don't think anything bad, or you might write something bad, but I will also say, likewise, though, even though you can find it in the game section, thanks Parker Brothers for being assholes. It's not a game. It's a divination tool. And if you go into it with the thought process it's going to be a game, it could be taken disrespectful, and or the spirits could make it a game. It could be very negative. It could be very trickster energy. They could be like, oh, this is a game, bro. We're going to make it a game. And that could just not be good. Maybe don't challenge spirits if you're already scared of it and you're already confused. Don't go into it with a hot head. Don't be like, oh, if you're real, attack me right now. Don't do that. Don't do that. Like, it's not a good idea.
A lot of beginners' first mistakes.
Yeah, beginners are like, how about I be alone, go to a graveyard and taunt the shit out of it and tell it to attach itself to me, come home with me, and ruin my life so I can prove that it's not real. And I'm like, maybe
I know so many people like that.
Yeah, I know. That's why I said it. Like, I'm like, please, just please don't do that. Like, out of anything, not that. But now that I got that PSA out of the way, Serenity says, yeah, I agree. I'm intrigued and already thinking maybe I can connect with deities better because I remember you telling me that I have a lot of messages not coming through from my spirits guide. That's a great way to connect with deities or spirit guides. That's a fantabulous way, by the way. But you need to make sure before you go to do it that you're in a good mental state, because if you're not in a good mental state, whatever's going on, you're about to write that shit down. It could be a great therapy moment for you. Not going to deny that. It could be great for shadow work, because if you're sitting here and you're doing that and you need to do shadow work, it's going to become that rather than messages, because your mind's not clear. You have to be able to fully allow yourself to be cleared, because then you're the conduit. For instance, like when we're using the Ouija board, it's not as much as like when you're writing, it's straight coming through you. So if you're feeling something, it's gonna pop out. Serenity says, see, I'm an Ephron and find out on most things, but hell no, not on that, LMAO. See, at least there's that. So how to use this good old, I'm going to call it the talking board right now, so we're not being scared of it. This cute little witch's talking board, you know, just my buddy. How do we use this with tarot? So after a tarot reading, you could use the board to connect to a spirit or energy or to your higher self. For example, if you did a reading, you want to expand more on this message or further the communication or look for some more clarity. So maybe I did a reading and I was asking if there was any spirits or any guides that wanted to talk to me, and my tarot cards said yes. well, whoa, I could just whip out the board and I could just see exactly what they want to say without trying to play a guessing game with my tarot cards. They could just spell it out for me. Like, how convenient. I don't even, do you want me to talk to you? Yes or no? Like, wow, I didn't even have to guess. That's why I really like it. Do you think I'm doing a great job? You're awesome. Thank you. Like, I could figure it out like that. It'd be much easier. Before a tarot reading, I could use the cards after my Ouija board session to gather a summary of my board session. Really sum up any important information I got with the board, see what the cards have to say after I'm done. You could also use the cards to hone in on a very specific message that you got from your board reading. And to gather up any final thoughts or messages with after your board session. You finish your board session. Is there anything that Spirit would like to say before you are dismissed and we are no longer talking and you have to go away? And you could get any final messages and then you end it with your goodbye. And then using alongside tarot, so while you're in the middle of doing your reading, you could use individual cards to expand on specific things being stated in your reading, i.e. pulling a single card after you get a board response. So, for instance, if you ask a question, if you don't have a lot of practice with it, you might not be able to tell the tone or the energy that is being said because it's just a word. With tarot, you can see the card. It could be a little easier to feel the vibe. I could ask a question and I could get like an interesting response where I'm like, is that nice or are you trying to be mean to me? And I might not really be able to tell just based off the word if I'm not very experienced. I could pull the card, and if the card looks really angry, I may be like, oh shit, not that. Or if the card looks very, very pleasant, I could be like, okay, fabulous. I could keep like working with that. So that could be a nice way to really balance yourself if you're not super sure and you're like, I can't really tell the energy just based off the way the reading is going. Because sometimes if you're more like if you do it more often, you can sort of just feel the vibe that you're getting as you're going. But if you're kind of nervous, you might just feel nervous energy everywhere, if that makes sense. But that is my little 2 cents on the Ouija board. So if anybody would like to drop any comments on anything that we've been talking about, any questions that you have before we go into our next partnership, or if you have any future live recommendations, we would love, love, love to hear it. And Serenity says, I've had some cards look nice and sweet, but then have a blunt and mean meaning, LOL. Yeah, it's definitely not an end-all be-all, but it could be a little helper. When the card like has a smile, but it's like F you. While we wait to see if anybody has any questions or live recommendations, I will show off a new little tarot deck. We have this cute little Alice in Wonderland tarot deck, which is going to be great for my non-traditional readings because just being able to like walk through Alice's story, pretty hyped about that. So nice. I'm also so glad I could talk about the Ouija board for a moment. That's been long awaited. I know a lot of people are pretty hyped about that. Well, I'm not seeing any questions, so if you want to go ahead and start reading the next program, if anybody wants to pop them in, they can.
All right, so for our next program, we do have a prompt for you. I would love to learn. Serenity said, I would love to know more about automatic writing, and I would love some deeper knowledge on candle wax readings.
I don't know if anybody has a live on candle wax reading. I'm not entirely sure. And I don't think there's one on automatic writing, to be honest, either. That could be a live someone could do. Not in the tarot program, but like their own live. That could be a good thing. But I will also say the best way to grow a bond with any divination is to do your own personal research. So with automatic writing, if you don't really know anything about it, even just watching a bunch of random videos on automatic writing could really help you connect. And automatic writing is one of the oldest, and so is candle. Candle is a really old divination style too. So you could probably find some pretty good books on that too. I will need to look more into automatic writing. I'm nervous and won't be able to clear my mind enough. That place is never quiet. Maybe listen. That's why maybe listening to some like white noise or something that's like kind of loud, because then it helps like tone out and the cutting off any other sensory information. And Maggie says, "Hello, ladies, joining late but glad to catch the live." We are to the point where we are just now dropping into our next partnership, but all the informational goodies you'll have to catch in the replay.
So with it being October and this being our Spooky Divinations, our prompt for this program is, are there any spirits reaching out to your partner? If so, what do they want them to know?
And with what do you want them to know, it might not be a specific message. It could just be like, hey, bitch, pay attention to me. I'm trying to reach out to you. Like, that could be the message. It might not be a specific message, but it could be. So with that prompt, we have an additional challenge since this is the added divination series. The additional challenge is not required. Only the prompt is required. The additional challenge is to incorporate runes, any type of candle divination, or bones into your next reading. Not the Ouija board, because there is a lot of people that are not comfortable with the Ouija board, and so we just don't want to tango anything. So the additional challenge could be adding runes, any type of candle divination, whether that be flame, smoke, or wax, or bones to your reading. But again, the additional challenge is not required. That's just if you want to have some extra fun with it. Serenity says, I'm stuck in vampire magic heavy this month, but I believe both are super beneficial to add in for sure, so I'm definitely looking into it as well on my own. I definitely think you will like them a lot. And an easy way to start with the wax, by the way, Serenity, I want to say is don't look up what specific wax patterns mean, because then you're going to get super stuck into reading what other people say they mean. And wax reading is something that is super personal. That's why having someone else read your wax, in my opinion, is not as beneficial as you reading your own wax, because certain symbols and shapes might not be relevant to another person, but they might be super relevant to you. You know, when you're looking at the clouds and you see something specific and it just really means something to you, but nobody else sees it? It's kind of like that with wax. It's a very personal thing. So if Google says a circle wax means balance, but you see it and you're like, that's a dark hole and that means something bad, then you need to stick with your meaning, not whatever Billy Bob said when he wrote a book 30 years ago. Just my 2 cents. Rhiannon says, how do you get bones? You can naturally source them yourself, or you could purchase them, is the shortest answer.
Yep. It's the easiest answer, too.
So to give a quick recap of all requirements for the program is watching this live in its entirety, filling out the sign-ups form, which will be posted after this live, fully reading the instructions that come along with the sign-up form. Because we ask you to comment something specific, and we might include something random in the middle of it, so you have to read the whole thing. And if you don't comment correctly, you're not going to be in the program. And that's not to be rude, but if you can't read the one post with the full instructions and you just comment something random, then that shows that you are not truly wanting to be in the program because you couldn't read the post in its entirety. Again, that sounds very blunt, but it's important that if there is a post, you need to read it. So filling out the sign-up post, reading it in its entirety, you'll need to have the secret word to fill out the post, which will be in this live. Speaking of secret words, since I just brought it up, I'm going to say it. I'll say it twice, and I will spell it, and that is the only time I'll say it. Please do not type it in chat. Because it is October and it's fun, the secret word is Halloweeny, spelled Halloweenie. The secret word is Halloweeny. So you will need that word to fill out the signups. And then once you've received your partner's name, you need to respond with more than just a reaction or an emoji back to the message. Then you will need to complete one reading for your partner and give feedback on the one reading provided to you. Also keep up with any and all important messages in the group chat you're added into. Also, fill out the polls in the group chat so we don't have to hunt you down and message you. And finally, you'll need to fill out the Google form given at the end after the program. It'll be given in the group chat, and that Google form only takes just a couple minutes to fill out. Make sure to fill it out in complete sentences. Checking back into the group chat, Serenity says, thank you, love, that helps me a lot. I'm really glad it does. If you have any questions, by the way, about automatic writing or wax reading, this goes for anyone, not just Serenity, but Serenity to you too. Feel free to message me. I'll answer any and all questions, and I can try to point you in any directions that you need. Serenity says, also, thank you so much for this live. I've learned quite a few new things. I'm so glad that you have learned new things. Even if someone only learns one thing or just has some fun, I am very glad. Beth says, I think I want to find more information on automatic writing. I definitely think you will like that a lot more than Mr. Good old Ouija. But it is definitely a nice starting place. So, Brandon says, thank you so much for this live also. So let's hop into our dates for the next partnership.
Sorry.
You're good?
While you were talking, I was getting everything set up to, trying to get everything set up to post for when this ends.
Nice.
The signups will go up tonight, the 13th of October, and they'll run until the 20th. The names will go out on October 21st. The partnership will run from October 21st to November 11th, and our feedback will be due on November 14th.
So I'm going to go through that again just for clarification, just so nobody gets stuck. The signups are from the 13th of October through the 20th. We expanded it to give about a week, so that way hopefully more of y'all ladies will be able to join. The names go out on the 21st, and that is also when the partnership starts. It runs from October 21st to November 11th, so that gives you plenty of time to complete your readings. And then feedback is due on the 14th.
Our next Tarot Live is set for November 17th with more divinations with tarot, such as the pendulum, dowsing rods, dice, tea leaf readings, and so on.
So that's all that we have, but I'm going to go into an example reading because a lot of you guys have really said that you like having them. So I will do an example reading for this month's prompt, obviously without the additional challenge, but just the tarot example reading. So I think I'm just going to go in with this good old regular deck. I know Shyanne has this exact same deck. So I'm going to go in with this one just because I'm feeling this one. So the prompt is, are there any spirits reaching out to your partner? Serenity says, ooh, I cannot wait to learn more. Next month is going to be our last month where we include additional divinations. So if there is an additional divination that we have not yet done and you would like to have in that live, please comment that. And also, if you have any other lives to do with tarot that you would like to see, please comment that. We'd love to hear it. We already know that you guys want spreads, so that is coming for December. So I'm going to be working on this reading for Shyanne and just keeping a little eye on the comments to see if anything else pops in. So our prompt for this month are there any spirits reaching out to your partner, which is right now for this example, Shyanne, and if so, what do they want them to know? So I got one card, it flew out, and I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of crazy. It flew out, flipped right side up, and fell perfectly flat on the floor in front of me, and it was kind of creepy. And it's the Three of Cups, and the next one is the Hierophant, and then the next one is the Sun. So the card flew down on the ground perfectly like this. That was kind of great. So those are Shyanne's cards, the Five of Cups, which is sort of this figure, and it's like black looking cloak. Next we have the Hierophant, and then next we have the Sun in reverse. So I'm going to do this fully intuitive. I'm not going to look at the book, and I'm going to say that Shyanne has two spirits that are reaching out to them. One is her deity that she already works with, and they know that your life has been pretty busy right now, and so they're very proud for all the things that are going on in your life, but they definitely feel like they want you to do a little bit more working with them, maybe revamping an altar, maybe doing a quick little ritual or a quick little thank you. But they know your life has been pretty busy and you've been really like elevating yourself in your life, so they're definitely not upset. It's just been a little while, so they're calling for you to maybe reach out with this thinning of the veil. And then with the other one, I see a spirit just kind of lurking around you. Looks like they are thinking about introducing themselves, maybe waiting for you to be a little less busy, but they're kind of just lurking. They're not bad, but I don't really get whether they know if they're going to approach yet or not. But that's not one of your deities. But I do see your deity definitely there. I'm not sure exactly who your main deity is. Maybe Freya, but I'm not entirely sure who this could be. I'm gonna say either Freya or Cernernos. Oh my god, I butchered that. But that's who I'm thinking. One of those
Probably
two.
Freya.
Okay, there we go. One of those two. And then I don't know, I'm not sure who this lurker is, but maybe keep your eyes peeled. See if they decide to approach you.
That explains the feeling of having somebody watching me.
Yeah, I really get them just in the corner, just like keeping their eye on you. So that is my example reading. So that's as simple as it could be, because we ask for the readings to be minimum of 3 cards. That's why I make sure to do that in the example reading. That's as simple as your reading could be. Or it could be a little something more, or you could, tie it in another divination. So maybe if I was Cheyenne's partner and I just really felt called to doing candle, I could have done this reading and then lit a candle and then see in the wax if this creeper, this little viewer that's going, I'll call it a viewer, to see if this viewer of Shyanne had anything else to say. I could maybe light a candle and then read it in the wax. But that is all we have. So if anybody else has any comments, questions, or concern, totally pop them in. The signups will go up sometime tonight, and then
They
will
should
run.
be posted.
Oh, nice. Well, then the signup should be posted, and then they will run until the 20th of October. And if you have someone specific that you do not want to be partnered with, please reach out to Shyanne or myself, and we will make sure that you are not partnered with them. But your mom says thank you. So you're welcome. If anybody else has any other comments, drop them in. But if not, I think that's going to be it for us.
Alrighty. Thanks, ladies, for joining us. I have nothing for you. The post is up and ready to go and accepting responses. So I hope to see everybody joining us. And I will be back for this partnership, guys. So can't wait to see everybody.
And this live might take a minute to get sorted into the right place, given all the technical difficulties that we had. But it will get there shortly. You are so welcome, Serenity. All right, guys.
See
Bye.
you, ladies.